Good evening. We're doing something quite unusual for me. I have the Stefan here quilting his Tilda quilt, and that is not something I've done before, and it's not something he's done before. Quite unusual for me. I have the Stefan here quilting his Tilda quilt, and that is not. That's really weird. I don't know, but the sound is going a bit weird there. Right, I'm hoping you can all hear me, but this is what is happening now. Stefan picked his quilt kit up on the Wednesday and then decided he was not waiting for anybody else. He was going to make his quilt all by himself using the quilter's grid. And we are now at the point of starting to quilt it. Well, I say we. We are doing very simple straight line stitching on here. This is obviously the quilt going, this is the top of the quilt here. That's the bottom, so we're quilting from top to bottom. It's not the usual way we quilt a quilt. Are you okay? Will you call me if you need me? Stefan? Yep. You'll call me if you need me? Perfect. I love it. He's come in and done the quilt. So what we are doing here is the reason I've moved everything around in the tutorial is a lot of people don't think about how you're going to quilt your quilt, and a lot of people don't have any idea how to quilt your quilt, but doing the straight line quilting on it makes your life a lot easier, because if you do have a machine that's got a reasonably good size throat, pool noodles, just roll it up onto 2 pool noodles, get the largest space you can do. You might need to go and hire your village hall and line tables up, and literally you just feed your quilt in through the machine, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It takes maneuvering, it takes manipulation of your machine and your foot and doing it, but you can make it work. That didn't sound very good. It's just a thread break. It's a split. I think our thread's not having a happy day. So we are just in the process of doing that. Have you got your cushions? I think your cushions are in that bag over there. Could I trouble you to have a little word with everybody about your cushions?
So where am I?
You are there.
There we go. So I thought I'd be industrious, and I took some of the... Ooh, let's go back a bit.
Just showing off, really.
Yeah, I know. Oh, wrong way around.
But as you should, it looks gorgeous.
So I just picked a big flower and a little flower out of the big quilt, and I made pillowcases to match. And then this one is the opposite of that one. And these I were able to do machine quilting myself because they're small enough. But I can't do that with a big one.
Well, you can. You can, but it's just it's a lot more easy doing it on a long arm.
Not even gym membership would be worth that. No, she's heavy. There's no way I'm going to put her through my machine. Not that my machine can't do it. I don't think I've got the strength to do that.
I think that most people, when you do a quilt this size, you need to be realistic about what it is you want from it and how comfortable you are putting it through a machine, because at this point maybe it is time to spend a little bit of money and get it long arm quilted, because it can very well be a difficult and expensive process to do it in your own machine. But
I would definitely say, because with the quilter's grid it comes in panels, I would suggest you then quilt as you go the panels and try and put that together. That would be manageable.
That's not a bad idea.
On your home machine. You'd be able to do the 6 panels, each on its own, straight line quilting, and then put them together. That would really definitely be possible.
That was Stefan, by the way, not me. I've got him called in the thing there. But that's a really good idea, doing the quilt as you go thing. I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm. That would be manageable.
So what we have here is we're locked. Cool. You happy to crack on?
Brilliant. Got it.
Thread breaks happen on everything. Tilda is having a day. There's no doubt you want to watch this more than you want to watch me. And I think that you can tell by the pattern itself that we got for it. The straight line quilting is so effective on there. I think you can agree that is incredibly simple and effective.
Absolutely.
And what
Brilliant
Stefan's
job.
decided is he's not going to do the seam where, do a stitch in where the seam is. At the moment, he's decided that. He may change his mind. But you can see just how effective this is. Now, what the quilt actually ends here, but Stefan decided that he wanted to have some extra borders on it. So he's done a row of the normal peacock colour. This was the charcoal or the slate? Graphite.
Charcoal, no, charcoal, graphite.
So this was graphite. And then what he did is all his leftover bits, he then created this mosaic up there. And then this was the graphite. And I think that you can agree, as a border, that is incredibly, incredibly effective and works so beautifully with this. However, now watch his face as I say this, I disagree with the way that he's put this in, because he's done two the same. I would have flipped them round. But that's just me. Everybody is different. That doesn't mean that Stefan is wrong. But you can see the straight line quilting is so effective. My camera is starting to stream as we get closer to the bright lights of the long arm. I wonder if we should just then actually have it going one way. Do you want to risk going the other way and see? Because it's only ever broken going this way.
Going that way. So...
Yeah. Try it one more time and see how we go. I think you're a little bit away.
Away means?
Towards the wall. There, perfect. And perfect. Don't show your husband this because you'll need a long arm then.
Anyone knows where I can sell a kidney, please let me know.
But I think you can agree that straight line quilting really, really is effective.
And bigger stitches.
And we've done a 7 stitches per inch just to try and give it a bit more gap. We tested different lengths over there with what would work.
Definitely bigger stitches.
I'm now going this side of Stefan to stop the strobing. So that is what we've decided on that. Now, the other thing is the backing. Stefan decided to go with the Tilda green extra wide backing. It's 107 inches wide and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got a almost linen feel to it as well. It's gorgeous. So he's chosen to do that. But remember that Tilda did suggest that we do a little bit to you. Perfect. A little bit away. Perfect. Sorry. When you sit over here and you line the foot up all the way along here to see where you are in the middle. So you can do the piece backing on that. That will be absolutely perfect. Just remember, if you are sending it to a long armour, make sure you check if you need to do 4 inches or 5 inches more on each side for your quilting. We've got a huge amount left over on this, but we were lucky because we cut 2.5 meters of a 108. So it's roughly 108 square. So it gave us lots of time, lots of place to play around with and test tension and things like that. So yeah, I know we're stuck with this, a very jumbled order. I showed you the beginning bit and I showed you the end, but it's not likely that I'm going to have a quilt to show you for a little while. So I wanted to kind of, if nothing else, inspire you because these blocks are incredible. So you picked this up on the Wednesday. I'm talking to him while he's quilting.
Yes.
Pick this up on the Wednesday, and on the Tuesday you sent me a picture of the finished quilt.
Yes.
And then by the Thursday you've done the borders, or were you still waiting on fabric?
Well, I think once I got the fabric, the borders just took me a day because I designed them already. So honestly, the stitching goes very quickly. The cutting takes twice as long as the stitching. With the quilter's grid,
the quilter's grid, definitely.
Amazing.
The quilter's grid does make your life a lot easier on this project. Have you done any of Tracy Perks's quilts? Mm-mm. Oh my God, they're amazing. She did the, she's got an exploding star as a free exploding heart as a free pattern. And she started doing these paper patterns, which are brilliant. I love them. And with these paper patterns, you can then get the grid to be able to, sorry, I'm bouncing you like crazy. I apologize. So these patterns are so fabulous. So this bee is gorgeous and the tonti is amazing. But the great thing is, because you get the grid, you can scale this up and down as well. So the quilter's grid work really, really well with these types of patterns. So Tilda's embroidery quilt there, and these patterns work very, very well with quilter's grid. So yeah, the other thing to consider for your quilting on this is you might wish to do a I'm just realizing you may want to do a various designs and things like that. I think when you've got something quite so angular, so square and rigid, doing a sort of curved or bubbles or something like that for quilting works really well. But yeah, anything you do decide to do or you want to do, please pop a comment in. I'd love to see how you're going to quilt it. And the reason I've shown you the quilting video first, obviously Stefan's here today, we're quilting it, but I think it's always important to, when you do a quilt, have a think about how you're going to use it at the end. Stefan was saying earlier he doesn't think he's going to use this on his bed because it's such an important piece. It's such a lot of work. But you know, if you do use it on a bed, do you want to have the rigid straight line quilting on it? Because that's quite a lot of quilting. You might want something a bit looser, a little bit fluffier, and you've just got to decide what works best for you. For me, I'm going to do the straight line quilting because it just looks so effective. We used Battleship Grey on the top and Battleship Grey on the bottom. Grey is a really great blender that goes through all the way. The other one I would potentially be using on the top is a prickly pear colour. It's a prickly pear. It's a green colour, like a light. I can't find it, and it's in a box over there, otherwise I'd show you. So yeah, I think that's something that might actually just work really effortlessly, but always have a think about what you're going to do with the quilting first, because if you're going to just do straight lines, fantastic, but then think about, am I going to long arm it? Am I going to do it myself? If I am going to do it myself, can I hire a space out, or can I've got a space big enough? Pool noodles are a fabulous way of doing it. You lay your backing down, stretch it really tight. I put lots of duct tape on and get the back really, really taut all the way along. Once I've got them nice and taut, I put my wadding down. I try not to use 505 spray, only because I use a long arm anyway. I just try not to, and if I do use it, I use it very sparingly. If you use a light thing of 505, put the wadding down, and again, tape your wadding to the floor, a little bit of 505, put the top down, and then tape the top to the floor. So all three sections are taped. Then go around and pin it all. Once it's all pinned, before you take all the duct tape off, on the edge, you roll it onto a pool noodle, and this end you roll it on the pool noodle, so you'll have the middle will be a pool noodle. Of the two pool noodles, I'd start with that and literally just feed that middle bit through your sewing machine. Your sewing machine would normally sit like this, so you know, you figure out how to do it, but there are many tutorials on how to do it that way. For myself, I'm lucky I've got the long arm, and I would consider sending it out to one if I didn't, because it's just such a big piece and you've spent so much time and effort on it. But everybody's different. Keep me posted on how you want to do it. We're going to carry on with this on my social media, on iQuilt Studio. The minute this is finished, this will go. And if you're going to the Festival of Quilts in 2023, do pop down to the Cotton Patch stand, because the very quilt Stefan is making now has been loaned to the Cotton Patch stand for them to be able to do demonstrations for the Tilda solids and all of that. So it's a really nice little quilt to have a look at. If not, Stefan is there on the Saturday. So if you do see him running around, just tell him what you think of his quilt. Nice things only, please. And that will be us. I hope you're keeping well. Thanks so much. And in the next couple of days, we'll have a video on how to do your cutting and then how to do your blocks together. And then we will go from there. Look after you. Catch up soon. Stefan, do you want to say goodbye? Bye. Have a good one.